Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plugs Heat Check Podcast Live. It's Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. I'm your host, Chris Patrick. Joining me this evening are Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman. What's going on, fellas? How are you doing tonight?
Let them play. Let them play. I had to pull out the infamous dodgeball quote because Jonathan Gannon confirmed the starters will play in preseason week 1. Tallman, how you doing? I know you're chomping at the bit for football to start now.
Oh yeah, I'm jacked up, Basinonians. No, that's exciting stuff. Sorry, I had to fix my camera. We came in and I was like Mr. Double Chin there for a second. But no, Saturdays, normally I never watch preseason games, but immediately that news dropped and it became must-watch TV. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in.
Man, I can't wait. I know you guys were at the red and white practice this last Saturday, so I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about that and your boots on the ground reporting. But as for this preseason game coming up this weekend, yes, Jonathan Gannon confirmed the starters will play. I know their opponent, the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they're very well known to be playing their starters in preseason. So JG said, regardless of what they do, they're going to be rolling out the starters. That was a big point of contention, I guess you might want to say, with the fans and us particularly here, with how JG handled the preseason last year, where the players didn't play, the starters didn't play, and we didn't get to see Marvin Harrison Jr. take reps. And I think that almost was like a detriment, or maybe a cause and effect kind of situation for how we saw the early part of last season play out. But we'll get into all that. We got a lot of Cardinals talk to go on, some injuries mounting up, that red and white practice, JG's comments there, of course. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, our last Tuesday, we did our stream and we talked about the MLB trade deadline that was impending, came and went on Thursday of last week. And we got some more updates. Eugenio Suarez, Merrill Kelly, Jordan Montgomery, and Shelby Miller were all traded and have moved on to greater pastures, or greener pastures, perhaps, from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we'll get into all that. But first, I would like to ask you to please like and subscribe right here on our YouTube channel, Valley Sports Plug, at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and so much more. We go live every Tuesday right here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get that notification when we go live and you can stay up to date with all the Valley Sports action. But fellas, let's go ahead and get right into it. I want to start with the Diamondbacks today, just because that's obviously the team in season here in the heart of summer. We're just getting into the beginning of August. The trade deadline is passed. As I'd mentioned, Eugenio Suarez, our third baseman, was traded to the Seattle Mariners, apparently one of our favorite trade partners now, for first baseman Tyler Locklear and two other pitching prospects. I want to get into that more because Tyler Locklear is already getting some play time, has already hit his very first home run in a Diamondbacks uniform just last night on Monday night. But a couple of the other moves I touched on briefly there. Merrill Kelly, of course, our starting pitcher, was dealt to the Texas Rangers for Cole Drake, Mitch Bratt, and David Hageman, all pitching prospects now in our minor league system. And then Jordan Montgomery and Shelby Miller were traded to the Milwaukee Brewers for cash considerations, and I think a player to be named later, but I could be wrong there. But the silver lining there is that the Diamondbacks are not going to be paying a large portion of Jordan Montgomery's contract. We get that off our books. So at least I think there's some reason to be optimistic for this coming offseason. But fellas, do want to dive into, I guess, the top of the moves here. Tallman, welcome back, first and foremost. I'm glad to have you on the Heat Check Live here. But Eugenio Suarez for Tyler Locklear. What do you think of that move right off the top?
It's good to be back. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Yeah, so you got a young guy, right? I know before we started the stream, I said he was 6'4". He's only 6'2", so I was giving him a little extra juice up there that he doesn't really deserve. But 6'2", 210, he's a big guy. He's got some power, which we already saw it. I mean, he's got the power also in the minors when he was playing in Tacoma, where he hit like 19 home runs, was batting .315. So the guy's got some offense, right? Obviously, we'd much rather have Geno Suarez's bat, but Tyler Locklear coming in, young dude, he could be our answer at first base for the future, which, I mean, since Christian Walker, it's been a big question. You know, we've had this revolving door, so that's promising, right? I mean, I was excited with it. I was okay with it. Locklear is a guy that the Mariners were about to call up to the majors. So he was a dude that they saw as major league ready, which he's going to get a lot of run here in these last 2 months with the D-backs. And honestly, I think he's going to turn out to be a solid piece to this young core as we move forward. That's all we can actually hope for, right? Then you had the 2 other pitchers, I think both relief pitchers, if I think right. I don't recall where Hunter Cranton got sent to, but I know Juan Burgos is in the minors. So you got 2 good prospects potentially that you can work on back in return for Gino, which, I mean, you heard all these talks about the Yankees saying, oh, it was, you know, the asking price for Gino is way too high. We're going to go a different route, go to the Rockies and get their third baseman. So the return for Gino to start was a little lackluster. But again, you know, we're talking about expiring contracts. We're talking about rental players. But, I mean, this was the first time, I think, I don't know if it's history, but I think 10, 15 years in Major League history that somebody with over 35 home runs got dealt at the trade deadline. So there was a little premium on Gino Suarez. So as, you know, my eyes, I thought maybe we're going to get a little more in return. I mean, you could argue we got more for Merrill Kelly than we did for Gino. But hey, Tyler Locklear, see what this kid can do the next 2 months, and maybe it'll be a win in the next year or two.
Yeah, and I think that's like the biggest thing is what can this team do between now and the end of the season to build confidence for next season? Because I think the ship has kind of already sailed on our postseason aspirations. You know, when you get rid of Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez, Merrill Kelly, Randall Grichuk, you're really selling the farm. That's really all they're hoping to do, right, is build momentum going into next season and continue to you know, build upon this young core. Mike, I want to ask you what you think of the new additions, Tyler Locklear, as well as Andrew Hoffman. He was someone we got in that Randall Grichuk trade, someone we've now actually seen take some reps on the mound and pitched against the Padres last night. Did pretty well, honestly. Struck out a couple against the heart of their lineup there in a tough San Diego Padres team. What do you make of that? And I guess kind of the optimism of building towards next year.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting kind of in that tough scenario, gentlemen, as fans, right? Because, Chris, you're right. I mean, this season in regard to postseason aspirations, let's really be honest with each other. It's bye-bye. And it was bye-bye at the trade deadline when you started to see all the moves that the Diamondbacks were making. But so it might be tough in that scenario, but this still is going to be a fun final 50 games for this Arizona Diamondbacks ball club because you're going to get those tryouts just like Locklear, right? And good start for him, man. This is his first time being called up, I think, officially, right, to the big leagues. And he's taken the bull by the horns to start. It wasn't, Chris?
No, he had about 45 at bats with the Mariners.
Okay.
Where he had about a 158 batting average, kind of a similar.
So he had a Jordan Lawler.
The Jordan Lawler stint, yeah.
Well, cool. At least he gets a fresh start, right? And he's taking the bull by the horns, like I said. But I am very happy that you passed me over to Andrew Hoffman. Wow, man. I mean, for just having to give up Randall Grichuk in order to get somebody, and now the sample size is very, very small, but, you know, striking out Fernando Tatis, who's one of the heaviest hitters in the majors, and just really looking calm within his first opportunity yesterday against the San Diego Padres. You're very hopeful to see where he's going to cement himself within this bullpen that is really in need of a lot of arms and a lot of help. So this is what the Arizona Diamondbacks had to do at the trade deadline, right? You needed to kind of bring in a good amount of pieces so you can start to, you know, swing and see who misses and who hits. So there's a nice little baseball pun for you. But yeah, it was awesome to see Hoffman go out there, especially after the Diamondbacks had been struggling since the trade deadline, right? They had dropped 6 in a row, including that first game in Sacramento against the Oakland Athletics. And here they are on a 3-game winning streak, and hopefully they can continue momentum with these young guys. It's awesome to see these new faces come to the Valley and, you know, start to stake a claim to start. But I'm still keeping an eye out for some other guys to come into the fold and see where they're going to stand too. So, with great start.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Locklear, like I'd mentioned, that rough stretch he had when he first got called up with the Mariners. I think this is a new chance with a new team. He can really make a name for himself. Seems like he does have a big bat. Seems like he is pretty confident defensively. Competent is what I meant to say. Defensively, from what I've heard and from what I've seen so far. So it's good that we go from the post Christian Walker era. What are we going to do there? We get Josh Naylor, kind of understandably on a 1-year contract. Not sure if they're going to re-sign him or what they're going to do, but a kind of a go for it situation this year. Honestly, the understanding that we weren't going to make the playoffs this year, so we get off Josh Naylor and we get something in return. And honestly, having him be the potential, I think he was within the top 15 or 16 of the prospects for the Seattle Mariners. The Diamondbacks got a absolute haul of prospects back in return for all of these guys. I think we gave up 5 or 6 players in all and got 8 to 10 in return. I know part of that was the 3 relief pitchers and the 3 starting pitchers. One of those was Andrew Hoffman. Tallman, I did want to ask you a little bit about like the Merrill Kelly deal. We mentioned Cole Drake, Mitch Bratt, David Hageman. I want to ask you kind of 2-part question. How many of those pitchers of the 6 would have to be a success or have to be serviceable for our team for you to consider that trade a success? And then we'll circle back for the second part of that question. I guess we'll just roll with that for now.
I'd say at least 2, right? Because I mean, you never know with these young guys. I mean, all the guys we got back from Merrill Kelly, they're all young. I mean, like young where they're still in AA ball. I mean, I would say 2 need to hit tops, and then we'd be looking back on this and it's a win. And then, I mean, Kelly, I mean, what we robbed their farm system there. We were like number 5 prospect, number 9 prospect, and I think number 13 or 12.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but Kelly was pitching like he had a 3.2 ERA. The guy is a stud, and you know what he can do in the postseason, which that's exactly what the Rangers are trying to do, is make a postseason run. I mean, shit, Kelly pitched against him in the World Series. So, and obviously, I thought Gino would get more, but we got a good return from Kelly. But I'm banking on two tops. I think it would be a win.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you can at least, I would like to see at least 1 relief pitcher and 1 starting pitcher. Obviously, to short term, it seems like Hoffman might be one of the guys that is going to be a good and positive in that return. But dude, he has the baby face. He's young, but he also has the baby face. But it's interesting. There's a story up, I think, on Arizona Sports right now about how he was assigned to AAA Reno, had like his car shipped there or something, but never actually made it to Reno, and then got called up to obviously the pro level, and now in Phoenix playing in against the Padres in this series. So it's interesting, like the fluctuation at the trade deadline. And I was just talking to a coworker about that today and like the fantasy implications, where I'm like, just give it like a week or 2. There was a lot of moves done at this trade deadline. I think more than I've ever seen. And these guys are kind of trying to find a way to settle in. But I do want to ask both of you, and Mike, I guess since you're back and up next, to both of you, and Tallman, I want you to chime in on this as well. Would either of you be surprised if in the offseason the Diamondbacks are able to bring back Gino Suarez or Merrill Kelly? They've both expressed a desire to be here.
Now, I'd be very surprised if the Arizona Diamondbacks were looking to bring back Gino Suarez at this point. And it all is dependent on what can be done with Jordan Lawler, gentlemen. I know we've talked about this plenty of times, but there has to be an opportunity for you to put Jordan Lawler in a day-to-day system. And the way that we've platooned him, I guess, in his 2 call-ups has just not been fulfilling, I think, as a fan to watch, and probably not fulfilling for the team itself, because you're not getting the full opportunities to see if Jordan Lawler is truly that guy. And from what Gino Suarez has done the past season and a half, right, with absolutely raking from the plate, he's going to command a lot of dollars. And are the Arizona Diamondbacks really willing to sink a high like money market into bringing back Gino Suarez? Because at the end of the day, if you truly think about what the production you got from him, did it translate to the wins that you needed? And it didn't. And obviously it's a whole team aspect. I get that. But the one guy that we've talked about and we will continue to talk about as a huge possibility to come back, it has to be Merrill Kelly. It has to be because of his Valley ties. He grew up here. He pitched in a, 5A high school championship game here in the Valley. He got his first opportunity to pitch in the majors here as well. And he's getting up there. I think not to say that he sees the twilight, but I think he wants to be in a comfortable situation to kind of finish his career. And why not be here? Unless the Texas Rangers go on a crazy World Series run and they are that close, or they win and he has another opportunity to go get another World Series title or win his first one, that's when I would see him possibly not coming back. But I don't know, because I feel like even though Merrill's getting up, how many guys in the majors do we see pitch into their 40s that can be pretty consistent and still have, good velocity for what they bring on a, every fifth day? And Merrill's been consistent as hell for the past, I'd say, 3 to 4 seasons. So he still might command some dollars this offseason too. But I'll pass it over to Tallman, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's not aligned with me on this one. Right, Tallman?
Oh, Michael, the alignment is real. No, I'm with you. Gino is as good as gone. So, I mean, there's no scenario where he comes back. He doesn't fit the plan. Mike, you already touched on it. There's going to be a big market team that's going to throw him a 2-3 year contract for $15-20 million, similar to the Christian Walker thing. We're not signing an old dude like that to a long-term deal and throwing a big chunk of cash at him. Gino's not coming back. He was one of my favorite players over the past 2 seasons, 3 seasons, with the exception of when he was very shitty. And we were calling for his neck, saying he should be DFA'd. But obviously you saw all the support for him at the trade deadline. Fans were sad that he was gone, but he's not coming back. We just need to accept that. We got our return from him, and we can wish him well in his next adventure here. Merrill Kelly, though, I mean, age-wise for Kelly, I mean, he's going to be 38 in October, like this year. So if you sign him to a 1-year contract, he's going to be 39 at the end of that deal. That's insane. His birthday is October 11th. So it's like, I could see him coming back just because he's the type of pitcher. He's vocally said he wants to hit the 10 years of MLB experience, which I think under they get some sort of benefits or whatnot for 10 years of service in the major league. I don't know exactly what is up top of my head, but that's kind of the benchmark that every player tries to hit, because then you're set for the rest of your life. He's at 7 right now. So he said he's going to tough it out. He wants to stay competitive and hit that 10-year mark. And he's the type of pitcher that could do it, because he's not a velocity guy. He doesn't burn you with the fastball. He's in the 92, 93 mile per hour range, and he's all about his changeup. So he's the type of pitcher that if he could pitch to 40, I could see it happening. But again, with that age, you got to worry about these big market teams where if he has a good run in the postseason, if the Rangers make it, that is, I mean, one of these teams are going to toss a lot of cash at him just for the hell of it. But I could see him coming back just because the market, depending on how he does, could not be as extravagant as you might think, just because he's going to be 38 years old. And like next season, he's going to be 38 years old. So if there was any candidate to come back, it would be Merrill Kelly. Absolutely.
Tallman, I think you're talking about basically the MLB's version of a Costco executive membership card, where when they get 10 years, they get like a gold card where they can go to any MLB venue, don't need a ticket, and literally just flash the card and be like, hey, I have my tenure, let me in. I mean, from all the stories and, interviews I've heard of those guys that have done that, like I think PMT recently we're talking with Chase Utley and Shane Victor, if you've been in the league for 10 plus years, you don't even need to use that. You're normally walking in the back door to go to games anyways, but Merrill's going for the gold card. I like it.
Yeah, I know, and obviously, like, there's the stadium perks, but I'm sure there might be some like health insurance benefits as well in the CBA. But yeah, that's interesting with Merrill, and that's a great point where it's like he is getting up there in age, where it's like that's where I think the Diamondbacks were smart in like see what you can get for a return as far as young players for him now while he is getting up there in age and might only have a season or two. I do wonder if like you say, Tallman, if he's going for a couple more years to get to that 10 years or what have you, if he continues to be having a starter role for whatever team he's on, or if he starts to adopt more of like a long reliever role or a middle reliever role in a bullpen somewhere, or if he does come back to the Diamondbacks, is that potentially the capacity he comes back in instead of having him be one of the starting five? Is he a long reliever in our bullpen? And Ryan Nelson is starting now. I don't know, but I think it's interesting that in particular, that fact that we got three relievers, three starting pitchers. I do agree with you, Tom, and I think two of them, we need two of them to hit. Hopefully it's one starter, one reliever. But if it's two one way or the other, I'm not going to complain about it. Hoffman, I think, is off to a great start, but really don't know anything about any of these other guys. Mike, the last move that I think we haven't really touched on a whole lot is that surprise deal right at the buzzer, the deal with the Milwaukee Brewers that sent Jordan Montgomery and Shelby Miller to the Brewers for cash considerations. And I said it before, I think a player to be named later, but was it strictly cash considerations? Was there nothing else we're getting in return?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a player to be named later. And I don't know how, the details of those kind of trades work. How later? Are we talking about 6 months from now or just a couple of weeks after, when everything's kind of been ironed out? But yeah, I love that you call it surprising, Chris. This one, I think, shocked a lot of people, not because of Shelby Miller, but the ability to get Jordan Montgomery off the books. And I think, the Milwaukee Brewers had, a plan for total to bring in Montgomery and basically kind of eat that so they can open up their salary cap as well. Jordan Montgomery isn't a piece that they're looking to re-sign next year. I unfortunately think that Jordan Montgomery's time in the big leagues might be done. I mean, I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that, but unfortunately, he did not do himself well of service last season. We know that. I don't think he did himself well of service through who's his agent? Is it Scott Boras? Holding out, holding out to see if he could get that huge contract after helping the Texas Rangers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. I don't know. Maybe that was karma coming back saying, hey, you couldn't get your money, so you'll go back to the team that you kind of put into turmoil, and now you can put them in a little bit more turmoil. So maybe we were the bad ones to look at that. But not surprised Shelby got moved. He's had kind of a renaissance, but he's also another guy who's, I think, getting up there as well. Isn't he 34 years old? So it just made sense to move off of these pieces that aren't a part of the next great Arizona Diamondbacks baseball club. But I would be remiss if I didn't also say the other surprise was that Gallen not getting moved. I mean, I'll throw this question to you guys. Are we shocked that he is still around on this ball club right now, especially with the big decision that's going to have to happen in this offseason to see if you're going to have to pay him $180 million a year to stay in town and not get capital back the same way that you moved out these other expiring contracts? To me, it just seems kind of silly.
Yeah, I was very shocked. I thought Gallen was going to be the first one. But then they kicked off we started the trade deadline with the Naylor deal, which I thought was very early. But no, with Gallen, it's crazy. I mean, and Mike Hazen will swear up and down the phone was ringing for Zach. It was ringing for him. Teams wanted him. But I guess, he's having the worst season of his career.
Terrible.
It's been awful. And you feel bad for the guy because he's doing it in a contract year. So nothing's good for Zach Gallen right now. But I guess were the offers at the deadline for Gallen just so low that the D-backs were like, no, we're not. But what did the front office think after he's had this 2025 campaign where he's had the worst ERA in baseball as a qualified starting pitchers? What did you expect to get offered for Zach Gallen? I mean, he's a liability. His consistency is not great. Oh, he was so great last year and the year before, and look what he did in the World Series where he pitched a no-hitter into the 7th inning of a World Series game. I mean, he's accomplished, but something right now is not right with the guy. So what did you expect to get? But props to the team for not just dishing him off, because, I mean, I guess the offers were not as high as what the D-backs could get in draft compensation, because what we're going to do is they're going to extend him a qualifying offer, and I'm sure it's not going to be the best offer. He's going to sign elsewhere, and then the D-backs get draft compensation. So that's pretty much what it screams, that they didn't get anything better than what they could get from the qualifying offer. So then, so be it. We have Zach Gallen for the last 2 months of the season. I mean, Lord knows we need him in the rotation to be somewhat competitive. I mean, you got these, what is it? D. Scalzafani or whatever his name is filling in Merrill Kelly's spots. So like our rotation, I mean, we just need bodies at this point, which we accomplished by getting all the pitchers and then the first baseman. But I don't know. That's got to be it. It doesn't appear that anybody was trying to be aggressive to get Zach Gallen, and I don't blame him, honestly, based off of his stats this season.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that teams weren't lining up to acquire the services of Zach Gallen. It's just disappointing, because that is one of the players that we had pegged as like, yo, if you're gonna go and get some prospects back, go and trade Zach Gallen, because we do not want him back next year. And you're right, Tallman. Now you're looking at extending that qualifying offer to him this offseason. And honestly, like, I mean, from my perspective, I'm hoping he doesn't take that qualifying offer and that we get the draft compensation instead, because the way he's pitched this year has just been terrible. Now, Mike, I mean, we can't forget what he's done for us in the past, but is it unfair for Tallman and I to kind of be on somewhat of a good riddance position with Zach Gallen?
Don't loop me in this. What?
I'm looping you. I'm looping.
No, we're looping you in. Man, that is such a tough question, because similar, I mean, a lot of people will link Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen together, right? And after seeing Merrill Kelly leave and the way that Valley fans truly reacted, there was a lot of sad Arizona Diamondbacks fans to see him go. It was crazy too. You know, I know, Tallman, you talked about how you love Gino, and I think a lot of us did, you know, after his turn of play. And there were some very upset fans. I mean, I think Nico's wife basically put an Instagram post out that said, "You're dead to me, Arizona Diamondbacks," with a post of Gino being traded. And you're talking about a guy that was around for only a year and a half. And Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, you're going back to the old jersey days. And those, like, when you start going back to older jerseys, it seems like forever ago. So we're appreciative of what Zach Gallen did, but as a fan, you still have to kind of think of what is the overall big picture here, right? You're talking about a team that just 2 seasons ago was in the World Series and could taste the first title in Arizona since the Diamondbacks had won it in 2001. So we just want wins. We want winners. And Zach Gallen is not contributing to being a winner right now. And I don't think you can really sink almost $200 million into a guy asking what if is he going to get back into form next season? I think there's a lot of case to say that he could, because his career arc has been nothing but moving up until this blip right now. But where this Diamondback team sits with the injuries that it has incurred, with the moves that it's made to bring in young talent, it kind of unfortunately is good riddance, because it's time to move on to the next era of Arizona Diamondbacks baseball, and Zach Gallen is just not a part of that.
And I mean, within that, I don't disagree with you, Mike. I don't think Gallen's a part of it. Honestly, even if I know we've talked about bringing Kelly back next year, but with his age, even if you bring him back on a 1-year, 2-year deal, he's not really a part of like the future of this team. Tallman, as far as like the other pitchers that remain on this roster, I'm basically looking at Eduardo Rodriguez and Brandon Pfaadt, Ryan Nelson. As far as like maybe like a, what do we want to say, Mike, 2 to 5 year plan? Which of those pitchers do you still see being on this roster? Is it just Brandon Pfaadt? Is it him and Nelson, or are they all like scheduled for departure basically?
No, God, no, they're not all scheduled for departure. It's definitely Brandon Pfaadt and Ryan Nelson. Pfaadt's he's been up and down this season, right? I mean, he got his lunch money stolen on that road trip, but you got to remember what that young kid did in that World Series run. I know I already talked shit about what Zach Gallen did, but Zach Gallen's a veteran. Pfaadt is a younger dude. He's still growing as a pitcher, right? But I mean, he pitched with poise, and dude, you couldn't shake the dude in that postseason run. He's got a ton of upside still, and he's somebody that's under team control. He's not going anywhere. We just actually re-signed him, right? What was that? A month or so ago. So he's locked up. Ryan Nelson is a stud too. I mean, the guy's got some heat. He's a great pitcher. Those are your two guys now. They're going to be our new. That's the new Gallen and Kelly in town next season. I'll call it right now. You're tied to Eduardo Rodriguez. That's a dude that you just gotta pray that he can keep put some consistent starts together, because he's been a dude that's been killed by the long ball. I mean, I want to say because he missed some time at one point in time, he didn't qualify for starting pitcher ERA because he didn't pitch enough innings. And if he had, he would have had a worse ERA than Zach Gallen. So we're talking about the Diamondbacks having two of the worst starting pitchers in the major leagues this season. So again, you're tied to the dude. You owe Rodriguez a lot of money, so you're praying that he can kind of figure it out. But I don't envision Pfaadt or Nelson going anywhere. I think those are going to be two of our main guys going forward.
I'd agree. Sorry about that. Sounds like you're not too keen on keeping Eduardo Rodriguez in like that long-term plan, right? Tallman, I just want to get you on the record here. Like, is the Eduardo Rodriguez experiment over? Should they look to move on from him? I'm pretty sure we still have him under contract for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up his contract here, but yeah, because I want to say it was 4 years, like 70, 80 million, right? So it was 20 million a year that we threw at the guy.
Yeah, I think so he's under contract for the rest of this year, 26, 27, and 28 is a mutual option.
Yeah.
So at least 2 more years. At least 2 more years.
At least 2 more years. So again, that's why I said you're handcuffed to him, you're tied to him. I don't envision, like, what's his ERA now? I mean, his season ERA is shit. The guy he's not had a good season. He has had a couple pretty decent outings the past 2 weeks. But
are you saying what's his career ERA?
No, it's his season ERA.
Oh, his season ERA.
5.53.
Yeah, that's not good.
In 97.2 innings. Yeah.
It's the worst ERA of his career, by the way.
Yeah.
Second only to last year with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's of course.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Just like Corbin Burns historically never gets hurt. Comes to Arizona. What happens? He gets hurt. That's just something in the water here, man. Something in the water in Phoenix. I'll tell you that right now. No, okay. So who's going to trade for Eduardo Rodriguez and pay him $20 million a year? Unless there's a way out of it, I don't know. So I would accept the fact that we're going to see Rodriguez in this rotation for at least the next 2 years.
I would not be surprised for sure next year. And then maybe they might get creative and salary dump him somehow. Who knows, gentlemen? They might pull a Bradley Beal. They hate him that much. They need him gone. And they'll pull a Bobby Bonilla and pay him $1 million a year for 30 years. But it's man, what's the track record right now? We got to do a deep dive in regard to Arizona Diamondbacks, like signings for starting pitchers and the hit to miss ratio. Cause I feel like we are probably batting under 100 because there's always the thoughts back of Madison Bumgarner. Unfortunately, it's been a tough start with Corbin Burns, but that's an injury. So there's still a lot of time to see what happens with that. And he did finally turn it around. I think he ended this year before he got hurt. His ERA was at about 2.66. But then Eduardo's been just bad consistently. And the same with what Jordan Montgomery did. So even in just a short sample size of, you could say, the past 8 years, Mike Hazen, unfortunately, has just not been hitting from the starting rotation standpoint, comparative to what he's done with, all over else on the field, with the trades that he's done and bringing in Gurriel and Gabriel Moreno and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's tough, but we're gonna be stuck with Erod for a while.
Yeah, I fear you guys might be right. And it sucks because, like, to your point, Mike, I don't get why we can't have that sustained success. Like, Gallen has shown flashes and been decent. Corbin Burns was showing flashes before he got injured. But you're right, Montgomery, Rodriguez, complete bust. Brandon Pfaadt has shown flashes, but has been largely inconsistent. Merrill Kelly was serviceable, but had cramping issues. So we get rid of him and get some young talent in return. But it's like, yeah, I don't know what this young Arizona Diamondbacks team, or I guess not young, but obviously the next Arizona Diamondbacks team is going to be young, but like the next great Arizona Diamondbacks team is. And like going back, I can't remember, maybe you guys can help me out here. Like the last Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher that was great, that had sustained success. And by that, I mean 2 seasons or more of reliable, serviceable pitching. Was it Zach Greinke? Do we have to go back as far as Brandon Webb? Because it never was Madison Bumgarner. I mean, Zach Gallen, we had the 2023 season, but last year he was shaky, but mostly good. I mean, before we move off of baseball, I know we've gone kind of long on this and we got to talk about the Cardinals, but Tallman is like, just since I'm thinking about it, what was the last like great, reliable Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher? To put you on the spot,
Man, yeah.
without any homework provided.
I don't know, because I mean, because you're not counting Gallen, because obviously Gallen was our ace the last. Okay, so we're not counting him. It had to be,
Yeah.
But even Greinke, though, when Greinke came over from the Dodgers, he wasn't as good as he was in Arizona. Then, like, he was better before in LA, and so he was still our ace, right? But I mean, I had to pull up his sheet here. I mean, ERAs, I guess 2019, he had a 2.9 ERA, but 4.3, 3.2, 3.2, and then he was all in the twos with LA. I mean, I guess I'd have to say Greinke. If it's not him, then it is probably Brandon Webb, which is sad, unless we're missing somebody.
I honestly don't know if we are, which is sad.
We have to be missing somebody. That's not like, come on.
Would you say like Corbin? Like what was that middle era? Was like Corbin Burns,
Robbie Ray.
But Robbie Ray didn't really gain notoriety until he left Arizona, so I don't know if you could say that he was,
because he was like
he was an all
standouts.
He was like a strikeout machine, but he was never like an ERA guy.
Hmm.
It's a hard question there, Christopher.
Yeah, I don't know. Trying to like research on the fly, and it's just like, and that's just because that's like, you think about the guys who have been somewhat successful, and like those are the guys that stand out. And like, fuck, what was the last time? When was the last time Brandon Webb pitched for the Diamondbacks? 2009. So we're talking 16 years. That there's only 2 or 3 pitchers in the last 15 years that we can name that having sustained success in a Diamondbacks jersey. Like, I think that for me is like the saddest part of it, is the way that this pitching staff has been built the last couple seasons is being so great. I mean, that's all we were talking about going into these last 2 seasons, guys, is Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez. Now this season, Corbin Burns. Brandon Fott. Last season it was Fott and Kelly and Montgomery, and we were excited about Montgomery because that was the surprise last minute signing. And this season it was going to be Rodriguez, Montgomery, and Burns, and it's like we had more pitchers than we knew what to do with, and now we have no pitchers and no direction and no clue what to do. And I think we'll talk about it more this month as the MLB season trudges on, all of it between these new guys and the thought that just came to my mind, which is the future of Torey Lovullo and what his role with this team is going forward, whether he's going to remain as the general manager or not. Though he's under the microscope right now. I don't want to say he's has the barrel pointed at him, but there's a microscope. People are looking at every aspect of this Diamondbacks team, from Torey Lovullo, the general manager, to every single position on the field. I mean, if your last name isn't Carroll or Marte or Burns, I don't know that your job is safe on this team like anymore. You got to believe that all these guys are taking a deep, long look in the mirror. And I think that's good because I think this team got comfortable after the run in 2023. Expectations came up short last year. And to say they came up short this year is a complete understatement. This team is going to need a complete identity change. And I think this is good. I think it's all good. And we're going to get into all that. But guys, we're about 40 minutes in. I don't necessarily want to go on for 40 minutes longer, but we may, because we had a lot to talk about with the Arizona Cardinals. I know you guys were out there at the red and white practice this last Saturday. It was a little bit disappointing as the Cardinals have been plagued with some training camp injuries. But just today, Jonathan Gannon says Kyler Murray will be starting in the preseason opener, as will Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner. All the starters will be playing at least a portion of the preseason game. Man, I just want to pass it to you guys first here because I know you were boots on the ground. Mike, what does it mean to you that a different direction is being taken this year from last as far as the starters in preseason?
Ooh-wee. And this is basically a first because I don't think this is year 3 of the Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon era. I don't think the starters have played at all in their time frame yet. And I was hearing today on Arizona Sports, the last time that Kyler Murray played in a preseason game was 2021. So, and for a lot of these guys, if they've stuck around for a long time too, that was kind of the same motto for Cliff Kingsbury. He didn't play his starters. So I really am wondering if they have seen kind of the slow starts, within this regime, first 5-6 weeks, where then it seems like the team really gets ramped up and into, playing shape, I guess you could say. But they're trying to start on the right foot this year, and that's great to see. The one thing that you can't do as an organization, I think, specifically for football, is play in fear. And that's what a lot of teams do. And, I understand it. If somebody goes down with a crazy ACL injury or like a torn, meniscus or a pulled bicep and they're missing 10 weeks of the season before you even start, a lot of people are going to look the decision makers in the eyes and say, what the hell were you doing? But man, you just think about back in the 90s, early 2000s, everybody played all the time and guys would play halves in the preseason before they stepped off the field for every single preseason game. Wouldn't it be, now correct me if I'm wrong, guys, too, wouldn't it be like sometimes the last preseason game, if they didn't play, they might play like 3 quarters because it all starts the next week. So I love it, man. It gives a good opportunity for us to see some of these young rookies out there as well, like Will Johnson, who's had an absolutely electric camp. The one play that I missed, Chris, I shit you not, I was in the restroom and I missed the Will Johnson interception. I missed 5 minutes total of watching practice, and I missed the biggest play of the day. But I'm excited, man. Saturday cannot get here fast enough at this point.
Yeah, man, it's going to be exciting to see. I didn't know that they hadn't played in the preseason since 2021. It's kind of crazy, but it also doesn't surprise me. I mean, I know that's been the means of operation for Jonathan Gannon and his regime. And I know that that's kind of how Cliff rolled as well. But I think with with your mentioning of the slow starts, that was a major concern. And so if these guys aren't ready to go on day one through the other methods of preparation you've had, fucking make them do some preseason game. Like, and these guys aren't, obviously there are guys that are playing in preseason that are trying to get game film, that are trying to get contracts. But by and large, people understand it is preseason and nobody's trying to injure anyone else or go so hard to where you do get hurt. So I think it is still relatively safe. I am glad, though, that they did trim the preseason from 4 weeks down to 3. And that's like what we're going on, like the 3rd or 4th season of that. Haven't been the case. But Tallman, you were also there at the red and white practice, right? Were you in the restroom with Michael when Will Johnson got that interception? Oh, he's so rattled. He muted himself.
He doesn't want to tell the
I
truth.
won't even. Not even gonna repeat it. No, I was not in the restroom. I was able to see that play. I mean, come on. He was throwing the ball to Zay Jones. Zay Jones was out there as our number 1 receiver. I mean, talk about a guy here. I'm so stoked to watch him play. That is Will Johnson. I mean, he's going to turn out to be a stud, I think. And he's going to end up, if he stays healthy all season, he's going to be solidified as the steal of this previous draft. But no, it's football practice. I don't know, man. I never grew up playing organized football. I look at it and I'm like, there's like 20 different things going on the field. Where the hell are you supposed to put your focus on? But
well, that's what I got to say too, though. Cause Chris, you and I went when we first restarted VSP, if you remember. And I think that was the 2022 training camp when we went to that red white practice.
Yeah. Yep.
And I swear I'm not mistaken on this, red white practice used to be, they would do the drills at the start, right? They would split the offensive defense. They would split defensive backs, offensive linemen, the running backs. Everybody's doing their own split because it is practice still. But then halfway through the practice, they split the teams. You had your red, you had your white. That's why it's called red-white practice. And they literally played each other, where the second unit would go up against the first unit, basically, and then you would switch in your third unit guys, and the clock would count. They would count the score, and they would basically play 2 quarters. They didn't do that at all. They maybe had like structured drives where it was like a 2-minute drill for Jacoby Brissett. I think the one where Will Johnson picked him up was Kyler Murray's 2-minute drill, right? And that was it, dude. I will be honest with you. I understand why they have this, because NFL tickets are expensive. Not everybody can make it out there on Sundays. Not everybody has the pocket change to do that as well. So to have this opportunity for fans to go into the stadium where they play the games on Sunday and get to do it for free and get to watch your favorite players up close and personal is awesome. But I feel like there was a lot left on the table as far as competitiveness from this year's red-white practice. And now I can't speak for the last 2. And I don't know if that's been how it has been under the JG regime. But Tallman, I don't know about you. I don't really have plans to go next year if this is the way that it is worked out now,
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because, I was in attendance with you. I was a little underwhelmed, so I didn't want to come out and say I didn't have fun. And then you'd be like, what the hell? That was incredible.
Oh my God. I was amazed. No,
see, I didn't want to, okay.
But we also let me ask you this. Did you ever go to training camp when it was in Flagstaff?
When I was really young.
Yeah. I mean, those were more enjoyable than what I saw on this past Saturday. And I couldn't tell you. And it's not going to pull me back from my excitement that I have for this team this year. We're kind of giving the rundown of what we had on Saturday. I honestly might have been able to spend 2 hours doing something else and just save my piggy bank money to go out there and see the true product on Sunday. Like, hell, I never go to preseason games. I would much rather have gone to this upcoming Saturday game than the red-white practice.
Yeah, we fucked up. We did. We should have gone this weekend. It was that we made the drive all the way out there. It was underwhelming. there was no real scrimmage or game or anything played, but still somehow 26,000 people went out there, which is insane. And it looked like it. I mean, there was a ton of people there. So props to the fans.
That's honestly incredible. Like that tells you something about what this team is doing, what the Jonathan Gannon, Monty Austin era is ushering in is a whole new wave of fandom. Yeah, sorry guys that was disappointing for you. That's a commitment to drive all the way out to the west side. Even if it is on a weekend day, it takes, 45 minutes to an hour each way of travel. So you're talking hour and a half, 2 hours of travel. And that's why I think, obviously I don't want to get too caught up. That's why the Coyotes failed, but that's why the Cardinals, like it is a big ask to have fans buy in, is because of where the stadium's located, but also like the nature of the valley, blah, blah, blah. But 26,000 fans in attendance for a red-white practice is pretty remarkable. It gets me excited. And I know after this last draft where we got Walter Nolan, we got Will Johnson, some more pieces, there's a lot of excitement. And you mentioned, Mike, the Will Johnson pick. I'm looking here on FanDuel, and Will Johnson is admittedly low, but in the mix for AP NFL Rookie of the Year. Of course, Abdul Carter at plus 200 is going to be the favorite there with the New York Giants. But it's funny, Will Johnson is at plus 3,000. Walter Nolan is at plus 2,800. I guess I want to ask you, which of these two do you think has the better chance to win the award? And how likely do you think it is that player does?
Well, you have to factor in the injury to Walter Nolan right now. I still don't think we have updates in regard to when we can truly expect him back. And Chris, like what we talked about on Heat Check Podcast episode 41, there's a large opportunity, or there's a large chance that Walter Nolan might and possibly miss the first 3 to 4 games of this upcoming season. So if he's missing any time during the beginning of the season, that's a very, very large uphill climb. So you'd have to go with Will Johnson to start right now. If you're talking about Arizona Cardinals rookies, might be in the running. And I think Will Johnson has done everything he possibly can through the start of this training camp to, start to put his name, in the forefront of minds of all of these other teams who passed on him because of his injury scares and people not wanting to invest their first round capital into him. He has a chip on his shoulder. And what do we love here in Arizona? We love those guys, man. So I still think it's going to be a tough situation for Will Johnson to stand out unless he is getting a lot of turnovers and not only creating them, but getting a lot of interceptions as well, because the hope for this Arizona Cardinals defense is this front seven is going to be just the standouts, and especially the edge pressure that we're going to be able to create as well. So if those guys hold up their end of the bargains and create some ducks being thrown towards Will Johnson, who knows, man? You're talking about a guy who could have 5-6 picks. I think you have to start to consider somebody like that in the top 2 to 3 of any kind of awards at the end of the year.
Tallman, you got $20 in your pocket. Are you putting it on Will Johnson or Walter Nolan for the Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Oh, it's going to be Will Johnson. I mean, just the injuries we've had, Sterling Thomas, and then weeks ago it was Byron Murphy. It's like Will Johnson's getting thrown in. They released an unofficial depth chart, right? Because who knows what happens over the next 3 weeks. And Will Johnson's listed as a starter. So Will Johnson would definitely get my money on that bet because he's going to be playing because we need him to, and we need him to be great. With Walter Nolan, it's the did I say Byron Murphy? God damn it. Sean Murphy Bunting. Sorry.
Different Murphy. I was like,
you understood. You guys got it, but thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
But the Walter Nolan, it's like I think on the depth chart he was listed as third string, but like even then he's not available. He's got the calf strain. This is giving me whiffs of Darius Robinson last season, where it's no problem. He'll be back. He'll play in the preseason. Oh wait, no, he'll be back week 4. Guy doesn't play till like week 9, week 10, and you rarely ever heard his name get called. So I think Walter Nolan, he's got a lot of people in front of him at that position. We went heavy on that front 7, on that defensive line. I have no doubt that he's going to be a great player if he can stay on the field, but I think to start off their careers, Will Johnson's going to have every opportunity this season to succeed and rise above all the other rookies in his class.
Yeah, I agree. And especially with that injury to Starling Thomas, who went down and kind of opened the door for Will Johnson to step into that starter role. Mike, as we kind of start to see some injuries mount in training camp so far with Starling Thomas and a few others, what is your level of concern with the injury situation for the Cardinals so far?
Well, at least the good thing about Walter Nolan is there is the opportunity for him to come back. It sounds like it's not as bad as what we saw from Darius to start last year, but you have to be a little bit concerned still for this cornerback room, just with the age, man. I think everybody is under 23 years old, and you're going to be relying on a second-year guy and a rookie, right, in Max Melton and Will Johnson on the outside. But you have a guy who has started to cement himself as one of the best corners in the league with Garrett Williams. So I wonder what the next couple of weeks are going to look like to see if they might bring in some kind of veteran, even if it's somebody who's not really going to get a lot of playing time, because we know that the Arizona Cardinals are about the youth movement and giving these opportunities to these young guys to start learning the game properly and getting their feet wet by reps. That's the only way you can do it. But who knows? Do we see like a Stephon Gilmore step in? I know his brother is on, the 90-man roster right now. Who knows? And then the other thing I will say, even though these injuries haven't really been of great concern to start right now, because it's only kept them out for a couple of days and now they kind of are back. But the wide receiver room, guys, I mean, we saw Marv go down, had a little knee thing, and then Michael Wilson had kind of an almost concussion after he jumped into Budda Baker going for a diving catch. And if I have to go through a situation where we're starting a week because both of those guys are hurt and we have Zay Jones and Xavier Weaver on the outside, you might have to pencil in a loss for this team, because their teams are going to game plan around blanketing Trey McBride so heavy and stopping the run. You're going to tell me that we got to go get deep balls and make things happen with those two guys? Because I'll be honest, man, both of those guys looked bad at red-white practice, and it's just a practice. I get it, but Xavier Weaver missed a lot of deep balls, and I know they were trying to give him some opportunities, but if you're not taking them early, you find yourself sitting on the sideline until somebody is hurt. And I don't want that kind of situation happening for this team right now. So that's where I'm looking at in regard to not worried so much, but I'm keeping an eye on these situations to see if things start going the wrong way for the injury bug, if the Arizona Cardinals might be making some other moves sooner rather than later.
I think that is like the most concerning thing, is how thin we are at certain positions, particularly in the wide receiver room. I mean, you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. going down and that being a bit of a scare. If he is to miss any amount of time, significant or not, depending on what your definition of that is, the cast of characters behind him is not really a deep bench. And we had kind of sat here on these streams before in the past and contemplated who else they could go out there and get, and they haven't gotten anybody. So we're stuck with obviously Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Marvin Harrison Jr., and a few other clowns in there that I'm sure I'm forgetting the name of, that are going to fill out the bottom of that rotation. But it's tough when you go into the red white practice and Zay Jones is the number one receiver for that practice. Tallman, I'm already seeing people, build in the excuses for Kyler Murray this year. And I don't want to make this a Kyler Murray conversation, because we have had plenty of those, and we're going to have those in the future. And I promised a while back that I would hold off on that for a while. So I don't want to make this a Kyler Murray conversation, but I do want to talk about the wide receiver room, because within that is kind of what is being built in, is that Kyler Murray might not have the team built around him that he needs. And it starts in the wide receiver room. And we looked at Keenan Allen, potentially bringing him in as a veteran.
I knew you were going to pull this up.
And he signs with the Chargers. This news coming today. So the pool of available receivers gets thinner. Another veteran is off the market. It doesn't seem like the Cardinals are bringing anyone else in, Tallman. But I did want you to comment on this as far as the state of the wide receiver room, the level of concern we should have, and Keenan Allen signing with the Chargers. Yay!
Oh man. Yeah, look at that. I saw that. I got that notification earlier today and I was like, God damn it. And then you sit here and you go, what, why didn't the Cardinals, sign him? We got the cap space. We could have signed him. You could have gave him $8.5 million, but we knew that was never going to happen. And then Keenan Allen going back to the Chargers. I mean, that's just, I guess, destiny for him. So he's going to ride off into the sunset there with the Chargers where he started. But that one sucked because that was the guy I had my eyes on. It was like, why not bring him in? The dude can still ball. But Zay Jones being your number one guy at the red-white practice, I mean, that's just scary. And you're looking at a team without Marv and without, I hate to say it, without Wilson, to go into a game. It's like, what do you got? It's like, you're going to run the football 50 times and you're going to pass it to Trey McBride. It's like, I mean, Greg Dortch is great and all, but he's undersized. He's not a guy that can catch a ball on the sideline. Zay Jones, I mean, as long as he's not in trouble that we don't know about yet, I think what they're waiting for is I have to make a bet with Mike again about Zay Jones having a certain amount of catches, and then boom, it's going to be like, oh, he did this shit Saturday night. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's like, how do you not look at that room and go, if something happens to Marv, I mean, you don't have a clear number one receiver, and you could still argue Marv still needs to grow and develop into an actual superstar to be that guy. Obviously, right now there's no one even touching him on that depth chart. But I mean, if something happened to him, it's like we don't have a lot of talent in that room. And then you got to remember Michael Wilson, he's made of glass. It's something that happens when you go to Stanford, when you live in the dorms in Stanford, you have a lot of injuries. So, I mean, he did prove me wrong last season. I think he played every single game. Is that right, Michael? No, he missed one.
No, he missed. He did.
I think he missed one. No, maybe two.
One, at the end of the season, one or two.
Yeah.
So he proved that he can last. But again, he's got a long history of injuries. I mean, I'm shocked that they didn't do something. I still have a little bit of hope that they're going to add somebody. I mean, there's still time. You still have every single preseason game. I mean, people get signed all the time. Who cares if you didn't go to training camp with the team you got signed by? It happens all the time. So there's still time for them to add somebody, because honestly, I think they need to, and I expect them to, because, I mean, you couldn't help but hear the Terry McLaurin trade rumors, or not rumors, but that he requested a trade from the Commanders. And then I'm sure every Cardinals fan was like, fucking trade for Scary Terry, because he would be an incredible fit on this team. You got some money, you can pay the guy, but would that even be something you're willing to flip for? So I don't know. That's the room. We've been talking about that for, it feels like months, about how you literally don't add anybody to the offense. You go crazy on the defensive side of the ball. You don't add anybody to the offensive side, and you just expect them to go out. I think we were 12th in offense last season, so I get maybe why, but it's just a lackluster group at wide receiver, and it's scary. We need Scary Terry.
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to ask you about that. I mean, Tallman, you bring up a lot of great points there. Like, this team has a lack of depth at the wide receiver position. I think we wanted them to have that 1-2 punch, and right now they just have a 1 punch, and then some light jabs at the rest of the wide receiver spots, if we're going to continue with that analogy. But yeah, we've been here and we've talked about who else can they go out there and get? And they've just done nothing. It's like that meme where he's like poking it with a stick and it's like, oh, come on, do something. Like the Cardinals are not doing anything to address the wide receiver room. And again, I want to bring it back because I'm going to talk about it. Not today. We're not going to talk about it today, but I'm going to talk about it in the future. The built-in excuses for Kyler Murray, where we are setting them up to have an excuse where at the end of the season, when the Cardinals don't make the playoffs and Kyler Murray doesn't have any crazy statistical season, when he's just an average quarterback, we're setting them up to be like, well, he had Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, and basically nobody else. So because he didn't have any wide receiver help, and Marvin Harrison Jr. missed 6 games with an injury. So Kyler Murray, it wasn't really a true gauge of his talent and ability. So we're going to give him another season. I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. The Cardinals, Monty Ossenfort, that is one criticism I have of him, is he should have gone out this season and addressed that situation. Given Kyler Murray 0 excuses. He did a decent job so far in the last 2 seasons, but part of that is going and getting another wide receiver this year. Do I think Keenan Allen would have been the answer to that problems? No, probably not, but it would have been another notch on the belt of less excuse. You're right, Tallman, you're right. There is still time. We have the whole preseason to go through. Who knows who's going to get cut, but I just think the prospects that are available to us right now are slim. And I swear to God, if I get another notification on my phone that the Arizona Cardinals have signed Andre Baccalia, I'm going to throw my phone across the fucking room. I'm sick of that motherfucker being on this team, and not from a performance standpoint, just because I see his name and it's always in notifications and never in the box score. But Mike, I do want to ask you about what Tallman finished out there in the pursuit of scary Terry McLaurin. Is that something the Cardinals should be interested in?
I mean, if you're looking at a guy who is an all-pro consistently for the past, 4 seasons, yes, you'd be idiots to not take a look and see if you could kick the tires on some kind of move. Tallman said it perfectly. The capital that the Arizona Cardinals continue to have season after season, why not invest it into something that could possibly put you over the top? Now, I've had plenty of these conversations where I've been the scapegoat that can come out and basically say, well, the ball can only go so many places, right? You got to give James Conner his 20 to 25 touches. You're trying to get Trey Benson more involved this year after he's been looking really, really strong and fast in training camp. You know, Trey McBride has to continue to get his 100+ catches per year. And you have to feed Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. Heavy, gentlemen. But if you're looking at an outside room with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, I'm content, I would say, but you have to have depth. And for them to not have addressed that even through the draft is a little concerning. It is showing that they have a lot of faith in these guys and what the continuity through going into season 3 with the same group and the same offensive coordinator is the hopes of what they're showing and why they didn't make these extra moves for this position, right? They're game planning that this is year 3 with this same group. Everyone is going to be dialed in, and it's going to be the smoothest, fastest, train on the tracks type of offense that you could possibly imagine. But when you have opportunities to bring in guys that are difference makers, and to be honest with you, Terry McLaurin is 6 foot and a speedster. We don't have anything like that. I don't think that you can consider Greg Dortch to be a Terry McLaurin type. Terry McLaurin has way different attributes than Greg Dortch does. I want Greg Dortch around, but if you can bring in somebody like this and you can have a starting 3 wide receivers of Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Terry McLaurin, and be moving them around from the slot and the outside, it's going to be hell for teams to try and game plan that with the other weapons that an Arizona Cardinals team might have. So it does seem like, I would say over the past 10 years, the Arizona Cardinals have done their best to go after high leverage pieces like this, right? You can talk about DeAndre Hopkins. Towards the end of his career, you can talk about J.J. Watt. It wasn't a trade, but it was a big-time free agent move, and J.J. Watt was an incredible difference maker in his time that he was here. But and maybe a trade for Chandler Jones too, right? The Cardinals have a track record of making plays for big time players like this, but it's been a long time, and I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it again.
I think they have to at least pick up the phone and have that conversation with Washington. Now, I do think that the Commanders would be pretty fucking stupid to let Terry McLaurin go when you have Jaden Daniels under his rookie contract. Just pay the man. Just pay the man. And you were in the playoffs last year, made a good run. If you pay the man, keep him happy. I don't understand what these NFL owners are doing. But hey, one man's I don't want to say trash, but one man's mistake can be another man's come up. Tallman, I want to just pick your brain on this one more time real quick, because I know you did talk about it briefly, but in as far as the pursuit of Terry McLaurin, if the Cardinals were to do that and make an offer, would you be comfortable with them giving up a first-round draft pick in order to acquire Terry McLaurin?
Ooh, I think you wouldn't have a choice. I mean, if you're going to pry him out of Washington's hands, I mean, you would have to give up a first-round pick. I mean, I don't know. That might be too rich for some people's blood, where you got to give up first round pick and you got to pay him. You got to give him that long-term extension, all that guaranteed money. I think he's in the range where he wants $28 to $32 million. So he wants to be per year. That is, Terry wants to be one of the top paid receivers in the league, which, more power to him. I don't blame him. So that might be a lot, right? I mean, it's not like if we're talking about Micah Parsons, I'd say fucking do it, right? But I don't know. With Terry, that might be tough, and I don't see Austin Fort willing to do it. As a fan, I'd say hell yeah, add him right now. That would put us another tier up offensively, I would say, and as in a year where we think that our defense is going to be good as well. So I would be all for it. But if I had to be realistic, I don't think we're giving up a first-round pick for Terry McLaurin. I bet you it would be a second, and there'd probably be a couple thirds after that. Because you got to pay him. Whoever's going to trade for him has to pay him, and that needs to be factored in to the price that you trade for the player.
No, I agree. And I do think it is a high risk, high reward. I mean, you literally just had Marvin Harrison Jr., where you got him last year as your first-round pick. So if you do give up, say, your 2026 draft pick, you're essentially looking at taking 2 wide receivers in 3 years, for all intents and purposes, as your number one pick, to have 2 top flight wide receivers. Now that could work, but then you're also talking about paying your top 2 wide receivers a lot of money. Of course, I'm sure there's some argument to be made in there for Marvin Harrison Jr. being under his rookie contract and what that looks like, but also how much more valuable is this year's draft pick going to be, given that it is a good draft class for quarterbacks. Mike, we just sat down with Mr. T Jr., the other Tallman, last weekend and had that conversation about how this upcoming draft is looking. I just kind of, as we wind down here, I guess, Mike, last thing I want to talk to you about with that is that something that could be considered, is giving up that first round pick, how valuable that is for Terry McLaurin? Would that be enough, or would more be needed? And would you be willing to do that?
No, I think all it would take, to be honest with you, would be a first round pick for the Washington Commanders to move off of it. And you guys have touched on it, is because of this quarterback draft class. Wherever you sit within this first round, you're going to have leverage if you're looking to make plays and move pieces and either move up or move out of next year's draft. Just because what was Mr. T Jr. talking about, possibly 6 different quarterbacks going in the first round, because that's how heavy loaded this quarterback draft class is coming up. But you got to be careful still if you're the Arizona Cardinals, because does Terry McLaurin truly make sense to be the absolute difference maker from talking about a team that might be on the cusp of winning the division and winning the NFC West? Or does he just barely move the needle? I don't know. I mean, he's only 29 years old, which in standards of the NFL, sometimes you're talking about kind of getting up there and getting a little bit close, and especially for an undermanned guy too. Are you ready to sink that capital in there? But if you think that your team is a Terry McLaurin away from being a Super Bowl contender. You make that move 10 times out of 10, gentlemen. It's the same way that we could talk about the Phoenix Suns, even though it broke down. They thought that they were a Kevin Durant away from winning a championship. If they left that team together, who knows, right? But that's not how history unfolded. I think giving up a first-round pick for Terry McLaurin, for the way that the youth movement has been going through for this Arizona Cardinals franchise, I think is too rich for my blood at the end of the day. I would like to get a little bit more creative. Maybe you start packaging together a couple more picks and see if that might be something that they would want to do, because I feel like this team is so close, gentlemen. It's just a few pieces away, and maybe the front office thinks that the same way for this Arizona Cardinals team. But either way, I still think they got to bring in somebody for this wide receiver room, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, so they can be ready by week 1. If it's my new favorite saying, break glass in case of emergency situation. And hopefully you don't have to get there, but who knows? Time will tell.
Hey, Mike, call me Brian Gregory because I'm aligning with you on this. I think we definitely need to address the wide receiver room, but I don't think it should be at the detriment of mortgaging the future. I like the youth movement that the Cardinals have going, and I think that, maybe this year isn't the year where you go all out, but it could be next year. It could very well be the year after that, but I think it's getting there. And it's going to be within the next, I think within the next 3 seasons where the Cardinals have to make an all-out push, or you're talking about reloading again because these guys get older, the contracts, how it works. We Cardinals fans should want a good year from Kyler Murray. I think all Cardinals fans do want a good year from Kyler Murray. It's just a lot is riding on him, and within that, the wide receiver room needs to show up, and Jonathan Gannon, more specifically Monty Austinfort, needs to equip him with the weapons to be able to do that. And it'll be interesting to see. Guys, football is back, baby. I mean, Saturday, the Cardinals are going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. 3 games. We're going to have our fantasy football draft at the end of this month. We're not going to do it live this year. There will be no live stream, but we're going to be filming it, at least portions of it, and we're going to put out a little vlog style video of our fantasy football draft. We don't want to bore you with the nitty gritty and the debauchery, and it was a big production. So we're going to do a different approach. Let us know what you guys think this year, and we'll adjust accordingly next year. But really excited for that. And next week on Tuesday, we're going to be doing live streams every Tuesday for the foreseeable future, right here on our Valley Sports Plug YouTube page. 7 p.m. Arizona time. We're going live next week. We're having a roundtable. We're going to do a pop culture stream. Mike, haven't done that in a while. Tallman, you're going to be there next week? Is that your busy week? I know VSP Tallman.
We'll talk offline about it. I might be there. I might not.
Tallman, we're only talking about Rust the entire stream.
Is that the carrot? Is that the carrot?
No, it's not about Rust. I might have to work. I might.
That's how you get them, Chris. That's how you get them.
We can actually have you play Rust live and share. We'll talk logistics on the back half, but very excited for that next week. But as far as this week and this stream, fellas, we are going to round it out and close out. So I do want to give you each the floor one last time to get out any thoughts, feelings, rants, whatever's on your mind. So VSP Tallman, we'll start with you first, buddy. What you got going on, man?
Sweet. Oh yeah. Mike, you didn't do your Ron Wolfley voice. Can you do it for me? For my
Buda Baker taking down Aaron Rodgers like a sack lunch. Oh, brother. That was for you, Tallman.
Oh shit! Thank you so much. That was all I had. It's been fun, guys.
Wait, what's the background there? Why did he have to do the Ron Wolfley voice?
Because he's so excited that the starters are playing on Saturday.
Yeah, because it was in our group text. It was like, Mike, I'm going to need some Ron Wolfley from you tonight because I'm jacked up.
Ron Wolfley will make more appearances this year because I think it's going to be a hell of a time. It's going to be a hell of a time to be an Arizona Cardinals fan this year.
He's not even going to be the radio guy anymore. It's AQ Shipley.
I know. We'll see how that goes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll have to start working on my AQ Shipley impersonation.
His voice is all deep and shit.
I know he's been doing a lot of stuff with Pat McAfee, and if you're in touch
Of course.
with Pat,
Has he
Can't
really?
escape him.
then people love you. So, but yeah, this Saturday, August 9th, 5 p.m. at State Farm Stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see Kyler Murray and the boys take the field for the first time. But at the same time, this Saturday, gentlemen, we will be at the Arizona Diamondbacks game. Corbin Carroll bobblehead night. So Tallman, make sure your phone is charged so you can do the streaming for us so we can keep tabs on what's going on for that.
Oh,
too.
it's Saturday? I thought it was Friday for some reason.
Nope. Saturday.
See, this is why I need to use my calendar.
Get your calendar in order, Tallman.
Shit. Are
Come
you?
on, brother.
Damn, my wife's gonna be pissed. All right. it's okay.
Oh my God.
Wait, she doesn't know that we're going? You haven't told her?
I told her it was Friday.
You told
Well, tell her tonight
Yeah.
so she's
I
prepared.
will.
And don't wait until Friday and be like, oh, no, it's actually tomorrow.
What time's the preseason game? You fuckers.
5 o'clock.
You don't need to worry about the football game. We're going to the baseball game.
We're going to be just fine.
We're gonna have to be at a bar so we can watch it.
That's fine.
We will be at a
make it
baseball
happen.
game.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Chris Tallman, always appreciate you guys.
Mike, always a pleasure, never a chore. Yes, Tallman, tell your wife we will be at the Diamondbacks game this Saturday. We're going to be there early, and we're going to get that Corbin Carroll bobblehead. We aren't going to give it the Bradley Beal bobblehead treatment. He will continue to have his head, and he will be on display proudly either here or in the main display here in Studio B for everyone to see on the next Heat Check podcast. But this was fun, guys. I love doing the Heat Check live where it's just the three of us. We can just shoot the shit, get caught up on Valley sports. Of course, Diamondbacks in the heart of their season, but it feels like the season's over, but we're going to have to keep talking about them for a couple more months. The Phoenix Suns are in their offseason. They're going to get rolling here in another couple months, and the Cardinals are going to be the talk of the town here coming up. So very excited about that. But anyone who's made it this far, thank you so much. You're a real one, a real fan. Shout out Low Tone Capone. Looks like you are getting in the shower. Hope it's nice and warm for you or cool. I don't know. Maybe you're taking a cold shower if you're in Arizona. Hope you're having a good night. But anyone who's listening this far, thank you so much. You're a real one. I'm sure you're liked and subscribed, but if you're not, please do so. But for Mr. Benjamin and VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.